Hey everybody, how you doing? Dash and Dave here again. Alright, well we're about 3 weeks into the year 2022. How is my dollars per mile switch from a minimum of $1 per mile to a minimum of $2 per mile strategy working out? So far the results have greatly exceeded my anticipated hope of what would happen. To illustrate this, let's look at a couple spreadsheets of 2 similar days, one under the minimum of $1 per mile and one under the minimum of $2 per mile. Tuesday, October 5th, 2021, my strategy is a minimum of $1 per mile. This day I worked 9 hours, I had 27 orders, my pay was $153.50. That averaged out to $17.06 per hour. I was paying $2.83 a gallon for gas. This day I drove 130 miles. I used 10.4 gallons of gas. That cost me $29.43, and my average dollar per mile clocks in at $1.18. Tuesday, January 18th, 2022, just a couple days ago. This is under the minimum $2 per mile strategy and nothing under $5. That means that if I were to get a $3.75 order from a restaurant that is, a half a mile away, I may not take that in order to free myself up for a $5 or more offer. So I worked 7.5 hours, I had 26 orders, and my pay came in at $150.24, about within $3 of the previous day's total. Average hourly pay, $20.03, paying $2.78 a gallon of gas. I drove 72 miles, which was 5.76 gallons used, at a cost of $16.01, and my dollars per mile metric comes in at a whopping $2.09. Every number moved not only in the right direction, but rather dramatically. I accomplished roughly the same gross pay, but with an hour and a half less of work time. I mean, wow. The hour pay reflects that, $20 to 17. Miles almost cut in half from 130 to 72. Wow, that helps the bottom line. And then the dollars per mile, 209 versus 118. Moving over to the calculator, the biggest one that jumps out there is my gas costs, almost cut in half, $29 down to 16. And then of course my hourly pay after all expenses, $10.37 under the minimum $1 per mile strategy versus $13.89 minimum $2 per hour, nothing less than $5. Wow. I haven't worked as many hours as I wanted over the last 2 weeks. We've had some severe weather events, and I took a couple days off after suffering some pretty severe side effects from my booster shot. I've had 8 days that paid $19 an hour or more. Had one outlier day, $15.64 an hour. I really cannot remember that day, but it's a pretty short day. I only worked a few hours that day, so I probably wasn't adhering to the strategy as hard as I should have been. One day the average hour rate clocked in at $17.64, and then another day was $18.23. So again, dramatic improvements over the $1 per mile minimum. The biggest challenge for me psychologically is not taking good paying orders that are even over the $2 per mile minimum way out to West Ames, where you're quite a distance away from the restaurants, and that means that's a free time, that's mileage that you're eating back into town. My other struggle has been not taking the money that's being offered to me, a $3.75 order that is literally, a half a mile away from the merchant store. To me, you thinking, damn it, that's $3 in my pocket, but it's also time out of your day. And since I have been declining these offers, this is just anecdote, but I seem to recall 100% of the time that I declined one of those orders that normally I would have taken, I have gotten an offer that was exponentially higher pay and met the metric of, minimum $2 per mile. Also, as I've mentioned before, I'm seeing more double and stacked orders, particularly coming from one specific restaurant than I recall prior. Iowa State resumed classes on Tuesday, January 18th from the winter break, so all the students are back. That just about doubles the customer base here in town, but it also adds quite a few dashers as competition. But I've got a gut feeling that the dasher competition from the students is not going to be as dramatic as it was a few months ago during football season when the weather was a lot nicer, let's be frankly. I mean, it's pretty shitty out here right now. It's about 6:45 in the morning on Thursday, January 20th as I produce this video, and it's minus 11 degrees outside right now, and the wind chill has been as cold as 17 below. Light winds right now, thank God. But anyway, I'm not going to run today. I don't want to put Speedwagon through that. I've mentioned that before. He's got too many years on him and too many miles, about 210,000 miles now, so I'm going to take today off. But along that lines, I think we're going to lose some dasher competition because they're fair weather dashers. Hey, some of these guys are not going to get out there in this kind of weather. Also, as I mentioned prior during football season is a very expensive season. It's expensive to tailgate and buy a whole lot of beer. So I just think that for the next month or two during the brutal winter conditions of Iowa, that there may not be as much dasher competition out there from the students. I started dashing in September of 2021, and as you know, I took 2 months off, November, December, to work for UPS, and I just jumped back in here the first of the year. So in reality, I've only got about 3 months of Doordash career under my belt, but this last week or so, really found my groove, my mojo. I'm real comfortable with what I'm doing. I absolutely love this job. There's some trials and errors and some, moments during each day, but overall, I can't believe it. I'm driving around delivering food, making 20 bucks an hour. So I think I'm practicing what I preach. Learn your market, know your market. That's two different things. And work your market. With every day that goes by, we gain another minute or so of daylight, and I really look forward to putting my strategy to the test for the dinner rush. Never done that yet in my market. I usually, quit around 4:30 or so, or even earlier. So, when the weather gets nicer, I have no problem working 10-hour days doing this. This is a breeze. I worked a production job for over 16 years. 4 10-hour days was our work schedule, but rarely did we work only 40 hours. It was 40, 50, 60. There was several 2 or 3 month stretches there during construction and expansion where we worked 2-3 months nonstop, literally 7 days a week. Working 4 or 5 or even 6 10-hour days delivering food via Doordash, that's a cakewalk. That's a walk in the park. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, hey Dave, can you bump that up to a minimum of $3 per mile? And I don't think so. I think I've pretty much tapped what my market can offer. I've looked through my list on the app after each day and kind of counted out my most recent day. That metric, if I had only taken $3 per mile, I would have only taken 3 of the jobs that were offered to me. Now, of course, if I didn't take all those other $2 per mile jobs, would I have had more $3 per mile jobs offered? That we don't know. But I just have a feeling based on the orders that I have seen, learning my market, knowing my market, and working my market, that I think I'm pretty much right up against the maximum there for someone who's going to do this full time and has a needed end goal of a certain amount of money per day that you got to bring in. Well, like I said, so far so good. Just going to keep rolling with it and see how it all works out. All right, guys and gals, that's all I've got for you today. Hopefully you can take something from this video and put it to use for yourself. Thanks for coming along for the ride, and hope to see you next time.